Welcome back to 60 Minutes and the manhunt for notorious pedophile Peter Scully. For years, Scully had avoided the reach of the law and thought he was safe, hiding out in the remote corner of the Philippines called Mindanao. But Peter Scully couldn't know the extraordinary determination and cooperation by police officers around the world to track him down and to bring this monster to justice. And a warning, the material can be confronting and graphic.
So he's laying low. He was last seen about 2 weeks ago in this area. So we're close, but we just need that one breakthrough, and that's what we're doing today. Terrific. Okay.
We're with Australian Federal Police Officer Paul Hopkins and his Philippine counterparts, who are close to catching Australia's worst pedophile, Peter Scully, wanted for kidnapping and abusing 2 young cousins, and also for the sexual abuse, torture and murder of more young children, who he filmed for the pleasure of an international pedophile ring. So this is one of how many houses they lived in?
So there's so far identified 15 filming locations, and the NBI have identified 5 houses at least.
By going house to house, the Filipino investigators found exactly where the abuse took place in the Daisy videos, meticulously matching frame for frame the backgrounds with the stairs, the tiles, the windows of the house in which Scully lived. And if you're a 9-year-old girl being taken up here, you'd be terrified, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. It's dim and dark and very scary, and at the moment my thinking and my suspicion is this is where they headed down that path towards the dungeon nature and the real depravity to add to the sexual abuse.
So the violence, the torture.
Exactly.
Amongst a number of girls, there are 3 main victims featured in the Daisy destruction video made 3 years ago. Daisy, who was barely 18 months old, Cindy, who was 11, and Liza, 12, all handed over by their parents in the belief that Scully would feed, house and educate them. Why would you abuse an 18-month-old child?
Well, for a start, I didn't. And
well, that's not true, is it?
It is true. No, sorry, you're
Oh,
wrong.
I'm sorry. How old was she?
Huh?
How old was she, Peter?
You are confusing different things. I don't want to get into that.
How old was she?
Huh?
How old was she?
I don't want to get into any of that yet.
Right, okay. Whether that child was 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, or perhaps we're mixing it up with a 9-year-old child or an 11-year-old girl, 12-year-old girl. You've done it to all of them, haven't you?
All right, I will go back to this now. No comment.
It's the coward's way out, isn't it?
It's the realistic way out.
As the net closes in on Scully, investigators are just as desperate to find the 3 girls.
So they'll know that if there've been any white foreigners about there, is that
Yes,
why we're going to them?
Yes. Because we
Early on, there is good news. The baby of the group, Daisy, has miraculously survived after she's rescued by her family.
Yes, good afternoon.
But the team's exhaustive search for Liza and Cindy is going nowhere until this.
Magkaklase kayo? Oh, ano na siya? Anong pangalan niya? Liza. Nasaan na siya ngayon? You know, she can identify the girl. So it's a breakthrough, you know.
Liza is alive. But for 11-year-old Cindy, help has come too late. Sadly, this is where Cindy died. She was repeatedly raped, tortured, and eventually murdered by Scully, her body buried in this shallow grave.
It's awful. No, it's terrible. No, it's incredibly bad.
It's incredibly confronting, isn't it? Even for you?
No, it is. It's horrific.
Cindy was the little girl Agent Janet Francisco was still hoping to find alive.
You know, the victim was made to dig first,
I didn't know that.
her own grave, before she was killed by Scully.
And how did he kill her?
Using a rope. Yeah.
Do we know if he filmed it?
Yeah, I think so, because one of the previous living partner of the accused saw the video.
The video of this girl's murder?
Yes, yes.
It's painstaking work in a cramped space, but in death, Cindy is being given the care and respect she was denied in life. Not just by Peter Scully, but by this woman too. So how long did you live here for?
Here we live here maybe 2 months.
Lizelle Margelio, Scully's other girlfriend and his chief accomplice, has brought police to the house where Cindy was murdered, claiming she now wants to help the children she harmed. Did you want to help the children at the time, Angelo?
I wasn't around when he did this. I wasn't around at all.
Well, how did you know where this girl was if you weren't around?
He told me everything.
The truth is, 19-year-old Margelio, at Scully's urging, carried out some of the most brutal, physical and sexual abuse on all the children in the Daisy videos. Identified despite her mask. She too now faces life in jail, as does Carmian. Do you know that yesterday police dug up Cindy's bones, that she was buried in the house that they lived in?
I really don't know.
20th of February, 4 years after fleeing Australia and committing unspeakable crimes, this is the moment Scully is caught.
Give me your name.
It's Peter Scully.
What?
It's Peter Scully.
Peter Scully. We have 6 warrants for your arrest.
Wow.
Okay?
Already, investigators believe they have a watertight case against this father of 2.
You put on your pants.
Yeah.
But they also fear there are more victims to be found, alive or dead.
Can I get my cigarettes? Is it possible?
So what was your reaction when you were arrested? Did you feel as pathetic as you looked?
Thank you. I didn't think about that.
You told me earlier that you weren't a pedophile in Australia. Is that true? No victims in Australia?
Of course not.
What about your own children?
No. No way.
Oh, that shocks you, does it?
It shocks me. It shocks me that you asked that.
We believe that there is still one girl missing. Where is she?
From now on, my answer will be everything will be in the journal. So you can keep asking questions, but that will be my answer.
Is she alive?
Everything will be in the journal. Anyway, are we almost done? Because we're going round in circles.
I'm not finished yet.
All right.
Peter Scully gives Australians a very bad name, doesn't he?
That's what you say.
Is that what you say?
Oh, he's so heartless.
For Virgilio Mendez, director of the NBI, the message for pedophiles like Scully is you can run, but you can't hide.
Maybe he's sick. No person in his right mind will do that, including his partner. That lady is also sick.
What we're interested in is whether you have any remorse, whether you admit to what you've done, which is sexual abuse, and of course, murder.
Of course I have remorse.
Why, of course?
Well, you think people don't have remorse?
No, I'm asking you as somebody who is a repeat offender here, who went on the run, who's only here because you've been caught, not because you turned yourself in. At what point do you actually feel sorry for what you've done? Is it at the point where you're captured?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. That's a good question. Well done. That's a very good question. At what point do you feel remorse? I think there's different degrees of remorse all the way through, right? But I think your greatest remorse comes when you finally realise the extent of what you've done.
And at what point was that?
At what point was that? I can't answer that honestly yet.
Why isn't it the point where you're actually raping somebody, violently torturing them? Why isn't it at the point when you kill a child? Why isn't it then? Why don't you realise the extent of what you've done at that point?
Maybe you should ask a psychiatrist that question. Not me.
I'm asking the man who did it.
Yeah.
While Scully ponders whether or not he's sorry, for all the police who brought him down, there is an ongoing price to pay.
Or whenever I remember the video, sometimes I cannot really help myself. I cried. Oh. Yes.
Even now, still. And why does it make you cry?
Because I can, actually feel the pain that the youngest victim had suffered during that time in the video. So.
After watching those videos that are so awful we can't even really talk about them in detail, how do you get those images out of your head?
I was having nightmares until we caught Scully.
So those images have gone now?
No, but at least the nightmares have. Yeah, I don't think you can ever get it out of your head.
What goes on in Peter Scully's head is still a macabre mystery. What is it about you, Peter, that hates children and women so much?
I might address that in the journal.
It just got crazier and crazier for you and sicker, and you'd already committed murder. Where was it going to end? What was the next level for you?
There was no next level.
And as a parent, how can you reconcile what you've done to children?
Next question, please.
Do you accept that you were ruining their lives as soon as you came in touch with them?
And the journal.
So you really have no sympathy for these people, for these kids?
That is definitely in the journal. I think we are finished.
I think we are.
Okay.
He can get up. Get up, please.